Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our latest video content. If you're watching on LocalGov TV, be sure to visit their website to see all of the content made for you by your local governments. Alamance County is pleased to present the Alamance County Commissioners Meeting.
And before we get to the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure everyone does by now, former Chairman and Commissioner John Paisley passed away. And the visitation is going to be at Lau Funeral Home Thursday night from 5 to 7. And the funeral is going to be right over here at the Grand Presbyterian Church at 11 o'clock on Friday, for anyone who's interested in going. Please keep the family in your prayers. And Commissioner Priola, I believe your invocation and pledge.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, today we honor our brother John, a faithful servant who has returned to your care. We thank you for his tireless spirit and unwavering dedication to Alamance County. Until his final days, John remained fully engaged in the work of bettering our community, leaving behind a legacy of leadership and compassion. Lord, we lift up John's family to you. In this time of loss, wrap them in your peace and grant them strength. May John rest in peace, and may his example continue to inspire us all. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the next item is I need the approval of the agenda. And does anyone have any changes to the agenda?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to move to change 6B to the regular agenda from the consent agenda.
Anybody want to
I'll
say?
second that motion.
It's B, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor of the motion, we have a motion and a second. Please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. I'm sorry.
Move that to 7D.
Uh-huh, and it's 7D. Okay, and the next we have a proclamation, and this is dear to my heart, of the Haw River Trail's 20th anniversary. Commissioner Thompson's going to do that for us. So if any of the Haw River Trail wanted to come up here, that would be great, and then we'll give you the proclamation after she reads it.
All two of you, come on.
Come on.
Nolan and I are here from the Parks Department. We do have members of our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
I
As
know.
well as several volunteers here tonight
Mm-hmm.
that have been instrumental in the trail building and trail maintenance efforts for the
I
Harvard State Trail.
recognize
So I just
some
want to
of them.
recognize everybody who is here. If you, I don't know if you just want to stand or wave real quick.
They're not even gonna stand, they're just gonna wave. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
It's a long one, but it's great. Whereas the Haw River State Trail is one of North Carolina's most treasured natural resources, following 80 miles from Haw River State Park on the Rockingham County, Guilford County line to Jordan Lake Recreation Area in Chatham County, supporting diverse wildlife, rich cultural history, and recreational opportunities for residents and visitors alike. And whereas, in 2006, local governments, conservation organizations, state agencies, Elon University, and community partners joined together to establish the Haw River Trail Partnership, envisioning a paddle and land trail that would protect the river corridor while expanding the public access and outdoor recreation. And whereas, the creation of the Haw River Trail was closely linked with the development of the Mountains to Sea Trail, establishing the Haw River Trail as an official segment of North Carolina's statewide flagship trail and strengthening its roles in connecting communities, parks, and public lands. And Whereas the Haw River Trail has grown over the past 20 years into a regional asset spanning Alamance, Guilford, Rockingham, Orange, and Chatham counties, connecting communities through hiking, paddling, fishing, viewing, and environmental education. And whereas the Haw River Trail has served as a model of cooperative conservation with local governments, landowners, volunteers, and nonprofit partners working collaboratively to protect land, enhance water quality, and create meaningful outdoor experiences for people of all ages. And whereas the development of the Haw River Trail has contributed significantly to economic vitality across the region by attracting tourism, supporting local businesses, and strengthening the quality of life for residents. And whereas the trail's success has been made possible through dedication of countless volunteers, partner agencies, conservation advocates, and community members who have invested time, resources, and passion into protecting and activating this natural corridor. And whereas in 2023, the North Carolina General Assembly authorized the Haw River Trail's addition to the state trail system. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 20th anniversary of the Haw River Trail Partnership, a milestone that celebrates 2 decades of progress, partnership, and shared commitment to conservation, recreation, and community connection. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that on this 16th day of February 2026, we, the Alamance County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim 2026 as the 20th anniversary year of the Haw River Trail in North Carolina, and encourage all residents to explore, enjoy, and support the continued stewardship of this extraordinary natural, historical, and recreational resource. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Thank you for all the hard work.
And
Thank you, Nolan.
Diane, you
Obviously,
have
we'd be
tested
remiss if
this
we
year.
didn't recognize Brian Baker.
We
and his
knew.
efforts
Yeah.
with this as well, and passing the baton to us.
Fire time, huh?
Mhm. Diane has your proclamation for you.
Madam Chairman, I'd like
Okay.
to make a comment about the trails. I had a constituent approach me at the poll, as a matter of fact, it was this morning, I believe, talking about the trails and how he had taken a scout troop out there the weekend of the snowstorm. I think it was a snowstorm, on a 10-mile hike. Now that is survival.
Mhm.
That's survival. But he was complimenting us on the trails and how well they'd been done and how much interest the boys had in the trails. So
If you've never been, it's worth to go. Okay, so now we're going to move to the public comments, and the commissioners will wait till the commissioners' comments to respond to anyone unless we need to say where exactly are you talking about or get further information from you. You have 3 minutes to speak. When the timer goes off, please finish the sentence you're on and return to your seat. And if you notice that I'm writing, I put down your name and what your concern was because I want to make sure that your concern is answered.
we approved the consent agenda yet? As a
Did we miss that?
we're not there yet.
No,
We're not there yet.
and we're not there yet. Thank you. I'll call the first name if you'll come forward. Jim Young.
Yeah, I've got it.
I will be too, name.
Oh, we do have a coffee shop.
Yeah, I gotta get my glasses off so I can read this. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. My name is Jim Young and I serve the Graham City Council. I'm here tonight to ask for Alamance County to partner with the City of Graham and our community on the Sesquicentennial Park. This park exists because our community wanted a lasting place to honor something bigger than a single town, the 150th anniversary of Alamance County. The word sesquicentennial means 150 years. The park and its memorial bricks were built as a public tribute to Alamance County's history and pride. But here's the hard truth. Over the years, the county has not provided funding or real support for this park. Meanwhile, the public still sees it as a county celebrations space because that's what it was meant to be. Tonight, I'm asking you to help close that gap. I'm requesting that the county commissioners allocate funding to support the park in one of three ways: direct funding for repairs, maintenance, and preservation, a matching grant to meet private donations dollar for dollar, or three, a one-time capital contribution to restore the park and improve access, safety, and long-term upkeep. This isn't about politics, it's about stewardship. This park is a public memorial space that reflects Alamance County's history. When we invest in it, we're investing in civic pride, education, tourism, and a respectful place for families to gather. I also want to be clear, I'm not here to argue with anyone tonight. I'm here to ask for partnership and support. Graham can't and shouldn't carry a county anniversary project alone. If you're willing, I'd like to request a follow-up meeting with city and county staff to discuss options, cost, and a simple agreement that makes the county support clear and sustainable. Thank you for your time. Thank you for considering a county investment in the Sesquicentennial Park. That's it.
Thank you. I'm sure you can set up a time with our manager and Brian Baker, a couple others, maybe Rick Stevens. Okay, and the next is Samuel Cahoon, is that right?
My name is Samuel Cahoon. I'm also here to speak about Sesquicentennial Park. More informal than my last at the city council meeting. It's just to talk about it. That I am from Vegas, and things are done differently there. We build buildings and we just tear them down. There's no history, no nothing there. We present like we have history there, but everything's not. We'll get rid of it for money instantly. So it's just to bring up stories that I have here. I worked at the tennis center over in Burlington, and it's I get to hear the stories. Bob Owens, I think he's a volunteer coach at Elon University, and he does the directing of the high school the state championships. And I get to hear the same story twice a year there from him. And I enjoy it, even though I heard it 4 times. I enjoy it every time he says it. And that's the thing, is that's what they like to do. That's what the culture is here, is talking about the history that we have here. So when you go and tear something down that is historical, but also meaningful to this place, okay, it shows that there is a community that needs this. They want this. So I'm not asking for anything, but just maybe awareness of this. That's what I like to hear, is everyone else's history, because it means more to everyone else to talk about their history than it is to like have me listen to it, because that's what I enjoy listening to it, but it means more for everyone else to tell me this story. Please tell me your story. And that's what that park means to everyone. So thank you for your time. Just put in, I want to just allow for trying to find words for that. That if just the awareness, that you guys have awareness that this is a community concern, like it's causing an issue, a divide, and it's not, I don't want to say sad to see that, but it shouldn't happen. And I would like to see something done, but not asking. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jim Albright.
Good evening, County Commissioners.
Let me start off by giving you my heartfelt condolences at the passing of Chairman John Paisley. It was John who first suggested to me that we put together a Hispanic Heritage Festival. This year, I am pleased to report we will be having our 6th annual celebration. I was born and raised in Graham, the capital of Alamance, as my father used to call it. My wife and 2 stepdaughters moved from Graham with me in 2018 to the Cary area, where I've just returned in August to live back in the neighborhood I grew up in. It's just been in the past 3 months that I've gotten deeper into what is going on and has been going on in regards to Sesquicentennial Square Park. Having served on the Graham City Council from 2003 to 2015, I was shocked to see the council meeting on January 13th when an item that was on the agenda to be discussed, the park, was voted on without any public comments and passed 4-1 to move this historical park located in the downtown Court Square area of Graham to a parking lot. I was surprised to learn one of the reasons for council approving was only 7 to 8 people had attended a previous public hearing to voice their disapproval of the move. This prompted me to put together a Survey Monkey, which I have with me, to see if I could better gauge public sentiment on this issue. Of note, which I'll give you, question number 4, do you support moving the park? 412 out of 450 respondents, or 91.5%, said no. Rarely in our times do we see so many people overwhelmingly agree on the same thing. In addition, some of the things I am wondering about are if any City of Graham council members have ever discussed with any of you what they wanted to do with the park and why, or even what you as commissioners may want and why. Based on the responses in my survey, I see this as not only a City of Graham resident issue, which of course we are also county residents, but is also an issue that is important to many outside the city limits, both in the county and even beyond. It seems to me the county commissioners should also have a vested interest in this decision. I believe joint discussions should take place with the Graham City Council before they continue to proceed with any plans to move a park that was dedicated not as a Graham City Park, but a park to honor and celebrate the 150th anniversary of Alamance County. Thank you, and I will give you a copy of my surveys now.
Eight, 7, 6, 5.
4, 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And our next speaker is Jesse Ayers.
So the county employee and the taxpayer, the longevity is a thank you to us for working here. I'm on the roofs, cleaning the air conditioning in the hottest part of the days. I'm in the boiler rooms, keeping the heat going. I'm here. We're shoveling snow. We're doing stuff. Just when y'all are doing the budgets, think about that. Just think about trying to find it. It don't have to be what it is, what it was. Just try to find something to just get it back to us. It's just something to say thank you for what we do as a county employee, for working here and dealing with what we got to, with people saying, oh, it's just a county employee being here. But we put love into what we do. We're here every day doing what we can. But thank y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody else. The next speaker will be Deborah Clark.
My name's Deborah Claire. I live at
Claire,
4.
sorry.
Yep, that's okay. It's German, so it could be either way. I live at 4515 Regulator Drive. Steve, I spoke with you Saturday when you said you didn't quite recognize me. And I know there's been a lot of talk about this, but my first concern I'd like to bring up is that the LCID landfill on Clamp Mill Road, if this permit is allowed to pass, you will be responsible for a grave disservice of this area and of the Alamance County residents. After emailing and speaking in person with one of the NCDOT engineers specifically assigned to Clamp Mill Road to review the safety and the signage, he and his superior personally drove out, and this was January 2nd. In fact, yes, he said there are clearly missing signs for speed, yellow warning signs for reducing speed and tight curves ahead, and there'll be signs put back in place in the next few weeks. I just spoke to him on Friday about this. When I specifically asked him if this is a 55-mile-per-hour road, he said clearly not. This is a country road. He would not speak outside his area of expertise, and I respect that. He did not have any bias in his judgment at all. His focus is only on the safety of this road, which another landfill is going to be going on. Considering the state has made the evaluations based on the information given to them by the county, they were not given accurate information, clearly, if the signs were not also in place. So I ask, is it not the commissioner's responsibility to instruct the planning board to come up with LCID ordinances once again? I know this has been a topic for many of the meetings here. There has been months of this issue brought to you by many people in this area, emphasizing that Coble Township residents. And yet the commissioners have not yet passed any resolution as to this very specific situation. This will continue to impact future growth, prosperity of our county, because we all know that this LCID does not just stop at the mere acreage that this permit is on. It's going to grow and it's going to extend further into our communities. When I spoke at the last planning board meeting, I asked very specific questions and emailed them as well, yet no answers. And yet they are the ones who have the answers. And I ask you to listen clearly and understand the choices that you're making and allowing to transpire will have long-lasting impact and consequences for years to come. And today, I bring you a hot potato. I don't know about you, but hot potato is a child's game. Yet, Alamance County leadership and CODOT, they seem to embrace it by the emails and the information that I receive. I do believe that you are feeling the heat right now because the timeline is coming close. Between the NCDOT giving vague instructions, loose permitting practices, the planning board saying that they don't have any authority, the commissioner's lack of resolve to pass reasonable and clear LCID zoning ordinances, and the owner of a business using their own evaluation of the road in question to answer the NCDOT questions. Now, I'd like to see who has the hot potato now, and I am going to be leaving that here right now and see who's going to be picking it up.
Okay, next speaker is Andrew Boone. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
All right, I would just like to start by saying I'm not here against any one man or any one, one group of people. But I would be remiss if I didn't get up here and do what I was convicted to do. I have one master, that's Jesus Christ, and I'm convicted to say this, so I'm going to say it. About 4 months ago, I was taken to the Alamance County Detention Center, totally false charges against me. The day before, the person who pressed these charges, she was taken in for domestic violence, and she got out of jail the next day and made false ones against me. After that, I spent 48 hours in jail because the charges were placed on a Friday night. And then the next week, I was actually almost made to go back for another 48 hours. But after much ruckus from my attorney, Phil Mosley, that didn't happen. I was made to report Tuesday, the prior week. This brings us to my first visit. The officers that night, they were very sympathetic to me, even making comments about how it's so unfair to men that anything can be said. And they were very kind, though. The best thing they did was they let me cut my sprinkler off. I was handcuffed, and they did let me run across the yard to cut it off. And I live in the same neighborhood as all of you. You know, city of Burlington water bills can be pricey. So on my first visit to the Alamance County Detention Center, I was put in a cell. There were 12 cells in the one block. There were 30 people total sleeping and living in that cell. 12 men had their own cell. They had their own water fountain and toilet, and they were very blessed for that. I was a part of the 18 men who were sleeping on the floor, under the staircase, on top of the picnic tables, under the picnic tables, on the stair rail, and there could have not been one more bed possibly put in there, or they would have been touching physically. Something else I noticed about that time, the short time I was there, the 48 hours, is that the shower didn't work. The shower for all 30 men, the drain didn't work. So you're in there bathing and all of your wastewater is going out on the people, again, sleeping on the floor right in front of the shower. Those men were not given new blankets. They were not given new sheets. They were not given new beds. They were made to dry their blankets off over the rail and use them again, never to get a new blanket. Something else, I guess to curb liability, or to make sure someone hasn't died yet, the officers have to come in and tap their phone every 30 minutes in different parts of the cell block. Well, during the day, that's not too bad because you can squish in and let the officers by, most of which are overweight, and that's not a problem, but they are. And it's just true. And so at night, when you're laying there, there's about 8 inches for those people to walk and get to that far tapper. So every night I was there, the first 2 nights I was there, I was kicked, I was stepped on. One man said, sorry. He said, I think it's ridiculous the way y'all are sleeping in here, and I am sorry. It's not intentional, and I did appreciate that. I got out on that Sunday, and the following Friday, again, a false charge was put on me, and I was almost made to go back there again, as I said, for a second stay. I had to come in on Tuesday, and when I came in on that Tuesday, I was met with a female officer. I was very nice to her. She knew me. She'd seen my signs in town. I own a business here. And she was very sympathetic. And I'll be honest with you, I flirted with her. Can I go again? Turn my mic off and I'm going to keep going. Anyway, thank you very much. Just to say again, I'm not here against one person, but I do think it is a tragedy and a shame. And if we can't get the court cases done quicker, then they really ought to build a new jail, because there's forgotten men and women. They're God's children too. They're already in the jail, and they should be treated with dignity and respect, not like animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Henry Vines.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and I would just like to express my deep sympathy to the family of John Paisley. He was not only our Commissioner, he was my friend, and he will be sorely missed. I've come tonight, I just got a couple things I'd like to speak to you about. Commissioner Thompson asked for a simple request. That was just to move the Commissioner's comments to the backside of the public comments. That's all she asked for. And out of that request, we got a complete overhaul of the policy. We have changed from going to having 2 meetings, business meetings a month, to one work session, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, why you want to come over here if you can't do business? So I think you should honor Commissioner Thompson's request and just give each one of y'all a chance to speak after the public comment. If you want to make a comment, fine. If you don't, it's the way it is at the end of the meeting. But to make everybody sit here and wait all the way to the end just seems kind of disrespectful. The second thing I would like to speak out about is the landfill that's being proposed. And I was at the meeting when all this came up, and the permit has been withdrawn at this time. One of the concerns that was brought up by the planning board was about the road, and it's supposed to be connected to a main road. We need to send that back to the board and ask them to look at this. And this is something that was missed, not by mistake or error, but we need to classify that road. And the state is, they have classifications 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each one of those classifications carry a different type of road. We need to come up with an idea of what that needs to be in that hideout, regardless of the landfill or whatever that road is. It needs to be a good road, not a 35-mile-an-hour road. And those stipulations are in the guidelines of the state on the state roads as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. So I would ask you to recommend you to send it back, send a request from y'all, for the planning board to revisit this. And even if there's some other issues that need to be addressed, these are the things that we need to do now and be proactive instead of reactive. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, now it's Joe Snyder.
Yes.
I didn't mention a pause. What is that?
Good evening. Sorry we haven't seen you in a while. Hope everybody had a good holiday. I want to make it short and sweet. I just want to state that I am here in presence to be here and to be very supportive of all those who are opposed of the landfill. I've been trying to work diligently with others, and I'm very proud of those who have done so, and prior to today and to this evening. And I just want to state tonight that my experience, I've been trying to do a lot of research to try to understand what we're up against and have something that has some meaning. I know a lot of it's legalese, and there's a lot of things in my mind that have come to pass just in my own thinking of what I'm doing as far as expressing my thoughts about this. Obviously, if there isn't anything legal that we can find that doesn't meet the expectations of law, then we're kind of at the mercy of morality issues. And I've really, really given that a lot of thought about the moral aspects of this. And I just can't come to grips with it, having talked to all the residents, especially those adjoining the landfill, that has to be considered. It just has to be, that their lives are going to really, really be impacted in a very, very negative way. And my soul and my person I can't, having met these people, and I would have probably not have met them if it wasn't for this application and proposal for this landfill. And it's really hard for me to think that when this takes effect, if it goes into construction and application, that it's just going to be just horrific on them and their lives. I was just reading tonight on the application too that they were expecting the traffic to go from 25 vehicles an hour up to they didn't say how many it was going to be per hour, but there's going to be 1,647, it says on that application, that are going to go down Clap Mill a day. That's what it says on that application when I just kind of screened it before I came. I can't imagine living on a street where there's going to be that much traffic, large scale trucks going up and down your street. That many in a day, I can't even comprehend how that even could be possible to have to withstand that. And so all I can state is that these people have, in real estate law, they have a right to quiet enjoyment of their property. And I don't believe that's going to hold up.
Thank you.
So that being said, I thank you very much for your time as always.
Thank you.
And your efforts. Have a good evening.
Thank you. We have Matt Kirkpatrick.
All right, good evening. Ladies and gentlemen of the commissioner. No, please. He did that once already. Hey, Bob, the hot potato. Here you go. That's your photo right there. The hot potato. Steve. Commissioner Steve. Oh, hey, look at that. All right.
Pretty doggone cold to me.
That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm here to speak about the obviously Coble Township and the the pending the LCID landfill that's being considered to enter on Clap Mill Road. It was brought to our attention in discussions with Mr. Commissioner Carter that there is an ordinance amendment to your HIDO that's being considered in draft. I don't know what state it's in that would restrict these high impact industrial uses from being accessed on class 1 or 2 roads. I don't know if the spectrum is 1 to 8, I think, and I think Clap Mill Road is is a class 1 road. So very low. It's just by design. It was never meant to carry or serve industrial uses. I mean, some of these people can't see 200 feet in either direction to, see a wagon coming, let alone a 20-ton truck. So there's it's a very dangerous situation. And, we'd like it expedited as quickly as possible. Any regulation of this land use, I think I said at the planning meeting, this is the business I've been in my whole life is land use. I've looked, I don't know how many counties, how many states of land use, and this one is just, you need some good common sense land use. I mean, it's very dangerous. And in the county you've got major economic development from the south, you're on the 4085 corridor anyway. 120,000 cars a day. And you're growing from both ends and the south, right into Alamance County. So you're, inevitably, if you don't have some order, you're going to have complete chaos, and you're going to have destruction of value, and you're going to have, it's very dangerous. People are going to get hurt. One of the most appealing aspects of this county is a beautiful rural landscape, and a lot of these people came to enjoy that. And it's going to be total chaos. These trucks these roads weren't designed for these trucks. There's 20 driveways that are within 100 feet of each other. That I talk to these people. They're scared they don't know what hour they can safely go to the Dollar General now. They're elated to have because it's close. But anyway, I think I don't know what the status of this ordinance change is. If anyone could speak to that and how it can be championed to be expedited and protect these citizens, because that's the most important thing. You guys, you make an oath to protect and serve, and I don't think anybody in this, any of the citizens other than maybe the one making the application feels like he's being served. And people are very scared all the way through the town of Alamance. These people are, another 1,500 trucks a day roaming, through that little town.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So please do, maybe Steve, you can maybe update us on the status of this. That's
Commissioner comments.
okay. That'll be at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Did we vote on changing it?
We moved the other one from to it. Okay.
What you want me to do?
Second or?
Second. When you said
That
second, I
needs to
thought
be,
you.
that other motion needs to be amended to state.
That
as amended.
we amended
As
the
amended, yes.
motion so that 7D will be now about the grant for the library.
Okey-dokey.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, the next thing is presentations and other business. And that's the advertisement of delinquent 2025 taxes. And that will be Mr. Brad Fowler.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So as was stated, I'm here tonight just to simply report to you all the amount of unpaid taxes that we have as of January the 30th, 2026. These are 2025 taxes. This is a requirement under North Carolina General Statute 105-369A. The amount owed as of January the 30th, 2026 is $6,219,369.85. And so the first part of this is just simply to receive that information. The second part of which is to allow me or to direct me to advertise this in the paper as required by statute as well. The intent here is to advertise on March the 26th of 2026, and anyone who has paid their taxes by March the 12th of 2026 would not be in that advertisement. We would also not be advertising anyone who is currently under bankruptcy here in the county. And that's it.
If somebody's making payments, they're not in that, are they?
That's correct. They're not.
Okay, good.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Just one other thing. Is this like an average amount for this time of year for the county? It's not like way over or way under?
Yeah. So last year, and it's easier because of there's some penalties and interest and that sort of thing involved. So if we just look at the amount of principal tax owed last year on a $109 million levy, there was $5,049,000 owed. This year we have a $121 million levy that's collectible. There's $5,059,000. So we are about, to give you that in rate terms, we had it 95.40 last year. This year we're running at 95.83% collection rate. So it's up quite a bit from where it was last year at this point.
How far back are these delinquencies?
These are just the current year that I'm speaking of tonight.
And what's the range of high and low in the amounts that are owed?
That I don't know. I don't know what the highest amount left owed is by an individual.
Can you let us know?
I certainly can.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else? Okay.
Wait, hold on. Okay, how long are you gonna work with someone before you do something
Well,
Like-
obviously, yeah.
like not good something?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we try to work with everyone. We give them, I would say, a lot of leniency,
Okay.
and then also working with our legal department, they feel the exact same way. And as Mr. Stevens would testify to, we settle, I would say, probably 99% of the cases that we ever have well before it gets to what you're talking about there.
Okay.
Would you characterize this as a form of pressure on people who haven't paid their taxes? It sounds like an obvious question, but is there? We had this debate last year about whether or not this was a form of pressure or coercion, to use a more heavy term on it. You want people to pay your taxes, so you're threatening them with publication if they don't pay by a certain time.
Yeah, and that's really a state question because it is a state statute. I'm just simply following the statute. I'm certain it does. Obviously, we have a lot of folks who come in and say they don't want to be in the newspaper. So I certainly would see that way. But as far as I'm concerned, all I'm doing is simply following the statute.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I knew we talked about that, and it is a state statute unless we can get it changed.
Have to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I just know I watched the news with all the enormous amount of fraud that other things are doing, and I think where the real weight of paying for things lays on the backs of just your normal citizen, and then we got a bunch of thieves that are doing some really bad things. So,
Yeah, we have not voted. We had a motion from Steve, and then I asked Pam for a second, and then she had a question. You want to get a second, either one of you, or, I mean, we have to follow the state statute.
I'll do a second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Just to clear, I'm not talking fraud in Alamance County.
Yeah.
I'm talking fraud all over the world.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is the follow-up revisions to the board's rule of procedure. And I'm going to get the manager to discuss that, but one of the reasons we decided to do this, and it is going to be public speaking at each meeting, it was so we could go over all this, have our questions answered, so by the time we got to the night night meeting, that you can still have public comment, you'll know what's going on, you've been informed, and then you can still come up here and speak to us afterward, and then we'll have the commissioners speak. And the reason is to sort of streamline our meetings so that you don't sit there for 3.5 hours waiting to hear from us. And that was the main reason for doing it. But you still get to speak at both, and you still get to hear the commissioners' comments. Go ahead, Manny.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. So we brought this to the board back in December. The board had asked for some revisions to help streamline the meetings, make them flow a little bit better, particularly the evening meetings where we're taking a long time. So the structure that was proposed back in December was a work session as your first meeting. That's an opportunity for staff to give presentations, some of the more lengthy type discussions. It also allows the board to ask more questions, and then we bring it back for a vote at the second meeting. So business is happening at both meetings. It's inaccurate to think that you're not doing business the whole time, but it does take off some of the pressure to have to vote the first time that you're hearing it, and it allows staff to bring back information or answer questions from the board if that's needed. This would be consistent with what you see with some of our municipal partners as well as the school board. They have a very similar structure as to what we're talking about. So the only difference in what is in your packet tonight versus what we talked about in December is that public comment is included at both meetings, both the day meeting and the evening meeting. And back in December, the proposal was to limit commissioner comments to 3 minutes. That has been changed to 5 minutes. That's the only difference in what you heard or saw in front of you in December. Happy to answer any questions that you all might have about any of the revisions being discussed.
So would we have to table an issue until the business meeting, or could we take a vote at the work session?
Yes.
It's really up to the board how you would like to handle it, but the suggestion is that you would have discussion at the first meeting and then you would save the vote for the business meeting. Now, if it's a time-sensitive issue, if it's something that has a short deadline, you most certainly could take a vote at either meeting.
My concern is we do get a lot of stuff that's fairly simple. Look at it, do it. And handling it twice seems like an extra effort to me. But
Well, the one thing I think is that first, the public is going to get to discuss it more. We're all going to get to discuss it at length, so that when we come to this meeting, we've already all discussed it. The public knows what our opinion is, and they can stand up there and tell us what they think because they've already heard. And it gives us more time to research, look it up, and decide when we get ready to vote on it. And my thing was that I suggested the 3 minutes. We give the public 3 minutes, and they pay the taxes, and that they should be able to, we should speak for 3 minutes. But I know sometimes it's more lengthy than that. But I do think this is a better way to do it, because that way everybody has a chance to know what's going on, to listen to it, to read up on it, and then come back at the next meeting and discuss it before it's voted on.
I definitely want the public to have the opportunity to speak.
They do on both.
Right.
Well, I agree with Chairwoman Allen about the opportunity to study things more. We, time and time again, we were rushed into judgments, and I'd like to hear a more lengthy presentation. I'll cover that again a little bit later when the reason for moving one of the items from the consent agenda, excuse me. There's a lot of times that these are not supposed to be controversial items, and they are in fact controversial from my perspective. So I like the idea of a little bit more systematic consideration of the stuff that comes before us in the presentations work session. I think we kept the balance of giving the public an opportunity to speak at both sessions. I think we ought to have a couple of town halls once or twice a year at least to hear that too. You know, we can expand that and keep everybody happy with the opportunity to enlighten us, at least, if not happy. So I like that. I also wanted to mention while I had the floor, I like the idea of the staff being charged to respond to some of the public comments. I think that if I read it right, we make the ask so that, you know, everybody doesn't get responded to. And that way we can have some more systematic approach to the way the public gets addressed with their concerns.
So with all this, how this sounds just great, we're still gonna make our comments at the end of a meeting instead of right back to the public that just come in here. I know we're cute and all, but I wouldn't want to stay here and watch us all night long. If we could go ahead and take care of that. I just think that's respectful. We talk about respect. I think, you know, people don't come here just to watch us. They come here to get some answers, which need to go to you guys because you are the authority in that. But at the same sense, you know, I just think it would just be better public relations if we just got to get right back at them and answer things. We've had a lot of people about the road out near the landfill and just getting them to kind of get where we are, you know, because they may have something they need to go to with their kids or something like that. You know, it's just, I've asked that a lot, so evidently I'm not going to win on this one.
This is one of those rare moments that I'm going to agree with Commissioner Thompson. So my understanding is that we had this as your proposal. It's still open that we can consider, if we have a majority this evening, to allow the comments to come after the public, our comments to come after the public comments. Is that correct?
This is the board's rules of procedure, so you all have the ability to make it yours in any way that you would like to. Sometimes the responses to citizen requests are not always accurate, which was why staff was wanting the opportunity to take care of that the next day. We're happy to follow up with accurate information, either by phone or email, and then we can create a record of that as well. But however the board would like to handle the
See, that
comments,
was why
it's
we
your
were gonna
call.
do that and get the staff involved is because, you know, if somebody says, well, you know, how much do I owe taxes on my property? Well, I'm not gonna sit here. And to look, and that's why we were wanting also to give them plenty of time to think and have really good questions when they come up here and say, I didn't realize when you said this, you meant this.
I'm not suggesting that we put you guys on the hot seat right there, but I don't see a problem with our addressing, for example, the landfill issue came up this evening. To give a little bit of a feedback to some of the folks that came and let them be on their way so they can go and earn a living in the morning and, you know, have a good breakfast. I don't think that we need to do that. We can, other than we can limit limit our responses to 3 minutes right there, immediate, you know, in a generic sort of way. And then reserve the right to comment it more at length after everything is conducted business-wise.
Okay.
But I would, if it's not out of order, I'd move for that accommodation. I would like to move the comments. No, I'm going to let Commissioner Thompson make that motion, and if she's of mind, I'll second it.
Okay. And
Lord have mercy.
we are here to.
Planets have aligned.
We are here to serve the public, and that's why I said I thought we should get as much time to speak as they do, because they pay the taxes. But yeah, I think if we can try it, certainly, and see how it works.
Well, it's one thing I know, a yes or a no is better than nothing. So if someone comes up and's got a question and say it goes to Brian, that's his thing, he could just, whatever he needs to do. But to just wait and wait and wait, that only frustrates people. It's like, you know, waiting in line at the doctor. You need some medical attention, so, but.
You want to make a motion to accept it as presented, except?
Well, I'd like to make a comment as well.
Okay.
I've had a problem, I've expressed it for years with us waiting and putting our constituents through the process of waiting until the end of a meeting. And some of those meetings have run 4 and 5 hours. And that's kind of brutal. I mean, nobody out there wants to sit there and listen to all the stuff that we have to deal with to wait to hear a response. And most people leave before we get to that point.
And that's
So they
why
haven't
we
heard
try
an
to
answer.
streamline and get back to where we ran, really, control meetings and that you weren't sitting there because we were gonna get right to the point.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you're gonna second that motion, or you already seconded?
Pam hadn't given it yet.
Hasn't made it yet.
I just have a question. Why is it looks like it's always our daytime meetings are much shorter than our nighttime meetings? Because you guys are here all the time. Then you have to extend into the evening. We come in here in the afternoon. I think that's something we need to consider too.
Well, that's why we were gonna do the business, that all the employees are here. If somebody's not, they're busy, we can ask them to come in and verify something for us. Heidi can text them
Okay.
or call them. And that's why we were gonna do all our business in the morning, because some employees that we have questions for are not here. And that's why we wanted to go ahead and do that, and to not keep people sitting here so late at night.
Sounds good.
That was the whole reason for it. Do you want to make that motion as presented, except
Yes.
the commissioners will comment after the public speaking?
Yes.
Okay, the motion's been made.
And a point of clarification, we're talking about limiting our comments at
And our
that point,
comments
3
to
minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Our responses.
Our responses, because we'll be responding to everybody.
And that is the only commissioner comment that you have, or you have it again at the end?
Well, now, 3 minutes,
If we listen to them. then we
3 minutes
respond.
though, when you're trying to respond to multiple comments, you might have
You don't-
3 people that have said something that you want to respond to.
That would be each comment.
Oh, per comment.
Yes.
Oh, no, well, that's not.
See, that's when you're getting, see, that's when you're getting
Well,
into
that's
the
why I asked
time.
for clarification. I'm talking about 3 minutes for general response to what everybody spoke about.
Okay.
And then I would be in favor of giving us the time at the end if anybody wants to sit around and listen to us pontificate again, yeah.
Okay, all right, see, that's why I was saying, it's whatever y'all want, I got all the time in the world, but, that's why I said to make sure that you're clarifying that.
Two commission comment periods, one for responses, the second one,
So this is out of order.
right?
And the one at the end would be just 3 minutes each like it is now. But we will keep our comments when we respond to public comments to 3 minutes apiece.
It's not 3
each.
minutes now.
No, I'm sorry, it's gonna be 5 in the evening, but it'll be 3 in the morning.
Let me reflect back and make sure that we're on the same page.
Had that many comments from
Well,
constituents.
we're answering them while they're sitting here and they're asking the questions.
Obviously, if you've only got 3 minutes to reply to maybe 20, sometimes 10 or 15 comments, you're not gonna get to touch them all in 3 minutes. This is talking about a hot potato. Thank you. I mean,
I think my point is I just don't want it to be complicated, and I don't want people to come here and have to wait if they need a quick answer that we can give to them. If they can't get a quick answer, we will get them an answer. Because that's what we're supposed to do. That's it.
Okay. So what I've heard is that you would like to have a 3-minute per commissioner comment period after the public comments. You'd also like
Once, yeah,
a 5-minute commissioner comment at the end of the meeting
yes,
for each commissioner.
yes.
Is
we
that,
can try
is that accurate?
I'm okay trying it, but I see some risk.
Some people can't stay within the time limits,
I
I
know.
know.
just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm clear and can revise that
Okay.
as the board wishes.
All right. So do you want to bring it back to us, or you want us to vote on it with the clarification of the changes?
Whichever you prefer.
All right. Well, I made the motion, and we will allow the 5-minute commissioners at the very end if anybody's still here listening. And were you going to give it a second?
I second it, yeah.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 4-0. All right, let's move on to the next item here. We have the clerk appointment resolution.
Well, let's all
Do you
stand.
wanna- do you want me to say anything or?
Did I? Aren't you gonna do that, Patty, or?
There is a resolution in your packet that we'd need the board to adopt to appoint Ms. Jenny Brown as the clerk.
Okay, and I thought you were gonna read that for
I
us,
can do that if you'd like. Give me one
Okay.
second.
please. Sorry,
That's
misunderstood that.
okay. I'm sorry, I didn't have that ready. All right. You'd like me to read the resolution?
Please, if you don't
All
mind.
right. A resolution appointing a clerk to the board. Whereas North Carolina General Statute 153A-111 requires the Board of Commissioners to appoint a clerk to the board. And whereas the board finds that Jenny Brown is qualified and willing to serve in this capacity. Now therefore be it resolved by the Alamance County Board of Commissioners as follows. Number 1, appointment. The board hereby appoints Jenny Brown to serve as clerk to the Board of Commissioners effective February 16th, 2026, and continuing until this appointment is otherwise ended by the board. Number 2, duties and authority. Clerk Brown shall exercise all powers and duties of the clerk to the board as provided by law, including North Carolina General Statute 153A-111 and applicable board policies to attend meetings of the board, keep the official minutes and records, maintain the official seal and attest board actions and documents, and perform such additional duties as may be assigned by the board or county manager consistent with law. Number 3, execution and attestation authority. Clerk Brown is authorized to attest board resolutions, ordinances, contracts, and other official instruments, to apply the county seal, and to certify copies of board records as true and correct. Number 4, records transition. County staff are directed to provide Clerk Brown with custody and access to the board's records, agendas, and related systems necessary to perform the duties of her office. Number 5, term of interim clerk. Interim clerk Diane Yancey's term of appointment as interim clerk to the Board of Commissioners is concluded following her service as clerk in today's regular meeting and attestation of this resolution. She is commended for her service to this board and the residents of Alamance County. Number 6, effective date. This resolution is effective upon adoption. Adopted at the regular meeting the 16th day of February 2026. That is all.
And I would like to say that, Diane, you have done a wonderful job, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And Jenny seems to be learning very quickly, and I'm sure that we can work well with Jenny too. Anybody else have any problem with accepting the resolution? Okay, we'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Thank
And I'll
you.
say a ditto to Diane's
Mhm.
service. We really appreciate you stepping up. Thank you so much.
Okay, now we moved the item down on the grant, and it's now 7D. So I think we need to have her step up here, maybe to the microphone if she doesn't mind, and can answer some questions.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
This is a request to apply for an LSTA grant from the State Library of North Carolina in the amount of up to $12,000 to create a mobile memory lab, which is a way to preserve digital materials, preserve photos and materials for the community, and to preserve our history, basically.
You had a question?
Yeah, I've got a few questions. I'm always concerned about free money, and the potential strings attached. As well as the adjacent costs. Can you this is for $12,000 worth of equipment from the what's the name of the granting firm that's going to do the matching fund?
The library has an endowment called the Gardner Trust.
Yeah.
That we get a payout from every fiscal year. And so the funds for the match comes from the payout from that trust.
So this is all an already established.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Since I believe 2003.
What's it going to cost in terms of management, in terms of employee oversight?
Like to run the program?
Yeah. On an annual.
Staff at the Mebane Library are taking on this project and want to start it, so they would roll it out as a program out into the community. in the fact that they would take all the equipment to, for example, like the Eli Whitney Community Center or Pleasant Grove Community Center, and run a program like we do library programs on site for people in that community to bring their local and their family resources to be digitized and preserved. So it would be mostly staff time rolled into programming obligations.
It sounds like a pretty complex program. It doesn't sound like you would have, in other words, we're going to be paying employees a whole lot more to do a whole lot of programmatic activities.
So staff do programming right now for the libraries, and that would be a part of their programming responsibilities that they already have. It would be another option to be able to put on a program. Whereas we do a lot of crafting programs now, this would be another type of program to be able to do that. Most of the funds go toward the purchase of the archival quality scanning machines, which are more expensive than just, those desk side office ones.
Are these going to be the kind of machines that folks can come in and off the street and access and utilize? There
There is possibilities for that as well, depending on where we set up the equipment, when it's not being used actively by the program.
Okay, so I'd like, before we, I'm in favor of you applying for it, but I'm concerned about the adjunct charges that come with your employees, the system's employees being assigned to what sounds to me like a rather complicated, complex program. Keeping an archive of these records, and then also having somebody maintain the equipment and so forth. I'm also concerned, I took a look, and I'm concerned, frankly, about the strings attached. I looked at the state library system, their 5-year plan, 23 to 27. And on page 10, and a couple of the other sources that I researched, I found that equity is part of a core subject, a core component of their strategic plan. So what I'm going to ask you to do, please, is forward the RFP to us and your response when you complete those, so that we can see. I'm concerned about strings attached. I'll come right to the point to be blunt about it. The term equity is front-loaded in their strategic plan before they give you money. And I'd like to make sure that we're not responsible to that core of their concerns, but rather to Alamance County's concerns. So if you provide those documents when it comes time to vote on it, I would appreciate it.
So you want the completed application?
That and the RFP that goes with it. What they're asking for and what your response is will be, please. Yeah, that should. Now you're gonna do both of those anyway. If you'd email that to us, and then I think we're entitled to an estimate of what kind of employee and staff time that we're looking at here, because it's not just the $12,000. I imagine it's going to be a whole lot more, given the complexity of what you've described in your request. Thanks.
And I think you said that it's, you have to apply for this by March 5th. Is that correct?
The deadline for the application is March
Okay,
5th.
and
That's
do you
correct.
think it would push you too much to get that to us at our next regular meeting time?
I don't know the date of your next regular meeting.
It's the
The 2nd of March.
2nd of March.
I should have most everything done. Yeah.
Okay, and you could send an email ahead of time so we could look at it and then just bring it back to us.
Yes.
All right.
Question, Madam Chair. This is not to archive items to be retained by the library, am I correct? This is for people to archive their personal.
Correct. There may be a component where they could voluntarily have their personal stuff put into like NC Digital Archive,
Right.
which is a partnering entity for the program. But that would be voluntary and their choice completely. It is, yes, for the most part is they're digitizing their personal memories and then taking them home with them on flash drives and then choosing whether they want to share that widely.
I probably misread I thought it said something about storing to a VHS, and I don't even know if anybody still has a VHS player or not.
There is a component of it where you can get a device that will adapt like home videos from VHS tapes to digital content. And so
Okay.
that would be one of the couple $100 of equipment that would be a component of this as well. I don't personally have a VHS player, but I do know a lot of people that have the home videos that are still on VHSs
I
that can
still
no
have
longer
one
play
sitting
them.
around the
So,
house,
yeah.
but I'm a little archival myself. So.
Well, I'm not hearing you're hiring a new staff member. I'm hearing this is just one more great program the library is going to offer.
And the
Correct.
staff you have now is gonna take over this and they will be doing it during their regular work hours.
Correct.
It will not be overtime and all that.
No,
Yeah, I
no.
see this benefiting our citizens in that they can, because like I said, not many people still have a VHS. If they have one, it probably doesn't work. So,
I'm gonna debate a little bit about it, surprisingly, right? That you see every day, there's the guy who comes on a commercial and says, do you have videotapes and pictures and things that are degrading? And I always get a chuckle about it, because no, they're not really degrading, they're breaking down. But there's commercial services available currently, and my question will be, are we getting the best bang for the dollar of our taxpayer dollar when we're doing the same that's being done out there commercially as well?
Well, the thing is that they would not be paying what they're gonna pay commercially.
Correct.
To have this done, so that would be, an added bonus to our taxpayers.
I hope that's the case, yes.
Well, my husband should be a part-time librarian because he's there all the time. He will go to Barnes and Noble, don't buy anything, and he will write stuff down and go put it in the library and wait on it. So the library does so many things that people just really don't know. It's a real blessing to the community. Thank you.
A lot of people don't have computers, a lot of people don't have copy machines. There's a lot of things that the library helps a lot of our residents with.
Thank you, Savannah.
Okay, thank you. You'll bring that back. Thank you so much. Next, we have the county attorney's report.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
No business for the Board tonight, but I just want to take a second to say that I have really appreciated over the last 3.5 years the opportunity to work with John Paisley, and I hate his loss to this community and this Board. He was an asset and an ally to me and to my staff in situations where we really needed it. And I just appreciate the wisdom he was able to share with me and my staff in our short time together. And also just his family's willingness to step up to allow him to be here. I don't see any of them here tonight, but to take one from John, they might be out there in TV land tonight watching. And if so, I just want to say thank you to them for getting him here and for all the sacrifices I know they made along the way as well. Thank you.
Thank you. County
I would echo our attorney's comments that our thoughts and prayers are with the Paisley family. John had a very unique sense of humor. The night that I was brought before the board, he told everyone that I went to the University of the Billy Goat. I would never forget that. And he always had an opinion that he was not afraid to share. So he will be missed. I had in your packet the fiscal year 26 second quarter financial report for you that runs through December of 2025. Susan or myself would be happy to answer any questions if you have any. It's a pretty lengthy set of numbers in there for you. In addition, I also wanted to announce we have an exciting new opportunity in our community called On the Road to Recovery. It's a mobile unit that will be on site at 319 North Graham Hopedale Road outside of our health department. They are on site Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and they provide individualized care that integrates counseling and medications for opioid use disorder. This is a partnership with VIA and New Seasons and the county. So we are excited to have this as first of its kind in our community. I also needed some clarification from commissioners if you are wanting staff to pursue an amendment to the HIDO piece. I know Commissioner Carter, you have mentioned that a couple of times. The board has not at this point directed staff to do such an amendment, but we would be happy to take some feedback from the board if that's the board's wish.
we have, as I understand it, and Brian, I think you talked with Matthew and are prepared to answer some questions if I have them or if any of us have them. The problem we have with the Clap Mill Road project is that there wasn't an ordinance restricting the type of traffic that could connect to the road. So that when DOT came to the county after the permit request for the connection, there was no ordinance prohibiting it. So they approved the connection. Now, as I understand this, the approval to connect cannot be reversed once they've approved it. So we can't make any change to the connection approval. That's a DOT issue. My concern is I don't want this to happen someplace else in the county. If I can't answer and can't solve a problem for the folks on Clap Mill Road, let's at least not let it happen someplace else. Let's come up with an ordinance as quickly as possible to amend the HIDO, set a regulation, whether it's by multiple road classes or just rural road class. Understand there are 3 different road classes that can be limited for this type of connection. And we need to make a decision on whether we want to just limit it to 1 road classification or the 3 lowest road classifications, I believe, as a board. Am I correct?
Yeah, so there are 7 road classes from
Right.
interstate to local. You, as a board, could certainly make a rule determining what land uses could be placed. You can make a rule determining what uses are placed on which roads. It's a relatively unusual thing to do. I don't know of another jurisdiction that does it. Traditionally, you would have a land use ordinance, which is something you guys are considering separately, I know. But this is something that is within your capacity to do, to say this particular use, a high impact use, can't be on a local road. Or some of the other rural roads, we could certainly look at those classifications and send a draft ordinance up.
Can I ask a question? Did you want to go ahead?
I was going to say, I was on the TAC committee before joining here for about 6 years. And there are roads too. He was talking about how much traffic. I know on Trollingwood Road, I got them to do a traffic count, and it was 22,000 cars a day 3 years ago coming from ACC and the highway into Haw River. And he said that that is against the state DOT regulations, although nothing has been done about it yet. And also the bridge, that it's a safety issue. We're talking about safety, that there's nowhere for cars to go once they're sitting on the bridge, and rescue and all tries to go over it. It's a ravine down to the train tracks. And it's a wooden support bridge that's probably 100 years old, and that's a no-no, and nothing's been done about it yet. And so we need to do something that we can stop DOT from just saying, oh yeah, we're going to approve this. And especially the size of that road. And if they're talking about how much traffic's going to be coming down it, then it's a narrow road and a curvy and windy road. I think all of that is major safety issues, and that it should be considered for the size of trucks that are going to be coming up and down that road. That's just my opinion.
Yes.
This is a prime example of why this county needs zoning, because we're going to keep having these little things to pop up. When I first come on, it was the rock quarry. And those roads are something out there too. They're probably not really designed to carry that kind of heaviness. Plus they have dynamite. So they have explosions all the time. And we've heard about that. When Meridian went and did their deal, it was like from the center of Meridian out 90 miles, this giant circumference. So wherever that touched into other states, we could take their stuff as well. Wonderful people, but I didn't want that kind of traffic out there. And with Clap Mill, I went out and rode the road and saw it. When you go down, it's kind of like being in the mountains. You took a wrong road. It goes like this, and you go up a hill. And if I'm on a school bus and I meet that coming at me, I live on Trail 6, and you don't meet cars against each other. They're meant to be narrow because that's the way they are. But at the same sense, however this happened, this is a business. So you just can't just shut down, go on, just whatever. We've got to figure out some way to compromise to work for this, because that is a very dangerous road, and it doesn't have the signs that it's supposed to have. And, big state, DOT, I don't know how they do what they do. But at the same time, that is I would be really nervous, especially at night, driving out there. And then we've got a business. So we've got to figure out somehow to make this work for everybody, the safety and a business, because nowadays you're seeing things drop into the country. We see that all the time. Lord have mercy, we used to have a strip club out on Highway 87. That got shut down. Thank you, Terry Johnson. And so anyway, I'm just telling you, if we don't have rules and regulations of zoning, we're going to be fighting this battle forever. And it's not fair for a neighborhood to come in here and just see everything about what they went to build their house and buy and live there, safety of their kids, riding bikes, all this other stuff, to just all of a sudden get blowed up. But if a business is allowed to go in and do that, then whose fault is that? So that's the key. We've got to be real diligent on looking at zoning. I mean, it's an ugly word, just like the school system's looking at it too. We went through that years ago. I don't know why they're looking at it again, but that's their business. But this is something we've got to really, really do, because neighbors are neighbors, but safety is a whole different ballgame. So.
I have a question, Mr. Stevens. Yeah, Commissioner Carter brought it up a little bit ago. It seemed like there might be a bill of attainder aspect to this. North Carolina has in that we're doing it after the fact to actual case in controversy. What's the background on that? Mr. Carter made a good point that we can prevent other things moving forward, but I'm not sure that we can write an ordinance and enact an ordinance on something currently active.
Grandfather.
Yeah, that's absolutely a concern and a consideration. And I don't want to give a lot of specifics in a public meeting because this is an ongoing process. But it's certainly something we've thought about and are concerned about related to this proposal, and then for future proposals, the idea of in the development world, it's called vested rights. Once an application is submitted, the people who submit the application have a vested right to be considered under the development ordinance as it exists at the time their application is completed and accepted. And then moving forward, if changes occur, then they have a choice. They have what's called a permit choice to make between the old rule and the new rule, and they can decide which one's more favorable to their position. That's always a consideration, and certainly a consideration here.
Thank you.
And I wanted to ask now, it was said that they had withdrawn the application. It was my understanding they had reinstated that request. Is that true?
Right, they briefly withdrew the application and then pretty immediately refiled to cure an issue that had come up at the planning board about access to between their property and the road. But they fixed that issue on the refile, and that it will be considered new by the planning board.
Okay.
I had heard that they were gonna refile with connections to 62, but apparently that's not the case.
I haven't seen the application to know, but from their previous application, their property doesn't touch 62, so unless they've taken some other steps.
Is there direction for staff at this point from the board related to any sort of amendment you'd like us to be working
We
on?
need a resolution.
We just need direction from more than one commissioner.
I'll make a motion that we get some solution through finding a path to restrict what kind of traffic can be allowed access to some of our more, especially our rural.
Okay, we're clear. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll second that. Anybody?
I don't think we need to move anything at this point.
We're just giving them the direction.
Yeah,
Do you just need a consensus or do you need a vote?
We don't need a vote. We
Okay.
just need a consensus.
Just a consensus.
Thank
Okay. I'm
Thank
okay with it. You're okay with it?
Yeah.
You are, Pam?
Yeah, but it just sounds like it's not gonna get resolved. I mean, from the folks that live on that road out there, and, I mean, it just seems like we're at a real, this kind of thing. And, it's, something's got to give for both sides.
And I
The
think we need
safety.
to look into safety on that road and what's gonna be going up and down it and the size of that road too.
Well, I've been told the DOT is gonna address that, the signage. up and down that road and speed limits?
That doesn't widen the road.
No,
No.
and that doesn't straighten that road out.
I have had a conversation with some DOT folks that have said they're gonna take a look at changing some of the shoulders to make it a little bit easier. I don't know. It's a DOT issue.
Yeah, it's not something we can
Yes. All right. So.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Nothing else. We're gonna go with commissioner comments. Commissioner Thompson.
Yeah, I've got a comment. I was on Kelly put me on the VIA board, and I had a meeting a couple weeks ago with Zoom, and I heard about the mobile opioid thing. I was glad to know about that. I'm texting Tony, when did this happen? And so anyway, but I had some concerns. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've got some concerns about RHA. I've had several people to contact me about going, and it's the same thing about not allowing someone with insurance to be able to be served. And if that's their rules, I understand that. But when we did all this, I was in this meeting, nobody will be denied insurance. I mean, nobody will be denied services. I've spoken to someone out of Guilford County, and they don't have this problem. They cover that because we were kind of led to believe, well, there's this pot of money that we can go into for, all this. This is just a really hard, difficult situation because the more awareness you get in the community about mental health, addiction, it's just a mess. You're going to open that floodgate, and you better be ready to handle it because it is massive, and you don't know half of it yet. But I'm just going to ask the question. There are other providers, and I want to know if we've got the best one that's able to serve Alamance County in the level of what we're needing. Because Vaya's built this building, we're leasing it. There's a whole lot of commitment, years back, stepping up, Jack, all this stuff. And I want to make sure that we've got the right person in there because I'm told they're understaffed. They don't have, name it. And that seemed to be this whole thing with first responders and this kind of stuff too. But we can't have this place if we're not able to serve who walks in the door. And I want some, I've already spoken to someone, they're getting me some answers, but I'm on the Jack board, God help them now, because I'm going to be asked this question. And I want to make sure the right person is operating in that building, no matter what their name is. Because the sheriff and I went over there and we sat there for 2 hours and nothing really come out of that. And I've had a child that had to go to Greensboro. We can't, it's like teaching Sunday school. You just don't show up. You got to be really prepared because them little children eat you alive if you're not ready for them. And so we have got to make sure we have got the total package over there in that center. Because the governor came and it was all this stuff talking about how amazing it is, and it is amazing. But we've got to make sure we've got the right provider within those walls. And I want questions asked. So that's it.
I was going to go next. We actually spoke to the governor, and I don't know if you saw, but he had a news conference, and he was talking about how important this issue is. And he is talking to the House and the Senate about ways to come up with funding or to provide to where they will pay for somebody who don't accept their insurance, they don't have insurance, they don't have Medicaid, whatever. And he did do a big news conference on that, and he said he is pushing that after we spoke to him about that people are being turned away and that, they're being told they cannot be seen. So I'm hoping, and if we call and talk to our state legislators, that this is going to happen after speaking to the governor. And he did seem very impressed, and he really wants to help with funding on it.
But it's Aetna, it's Cigna,
Yeah.
it's insurance.
He
You
was
think
talking-
you want them people coming in, but it's different. It needs to, Alamance County walks in, they need to be served.
Yeah, and that's what he was talking about, that he wants to set it so that every person at every facility like this would have the opportunity of being served. And I deal with insurance, with nursing, and it takes a whole lot to get accepted and them say, okay, we'll let you, but we'll be one of your providers. There's a lot of paperwork, legal issues and everything else, but it needs to be on a fast track for that. Commissioner Carter?
I want to go back to I don't see the young man here who spoke about the his situation in jail, but that's a definite concern. I know one of the things that sheriff's brought up to us in the past is that we have the courts now sentencing people to weekends in jail if they low-level offenders, and so the jail's getting not only the time, the capacity, but the processing time. You bring in somebody on a Friday night, they stay until Sunday night, I guess it is, or Monday morning, and get released. So you got to process them in and process them out. But you got the workload of doing that, plus you've got more people apparently on the floors. We've got the old jail. We've looked at that, the old prison south of the interstate that sleeps 40 or 80. I think it's 80 beds. 2 pods, 40 beds each. Right. Nothing else, we might need to take a look at doing something down there. I mean, we can't have people sleeping on the floors.
Well, they don't need to commit crime.
Amen.
That would make a big difference.
But you know, and I don't know the young man's situation, and I don't know anything about the case, but when you go into a jail, especially after you've been arrested, you're considered innocent until proven guilty. But you might still wind up spending a weekend in jail. And I don't think that would be fun for anybody who's guilty, much less anybody who's not guilty of something. So we've got to take a look at something there.
Well, it's not fun for a victim either.
Commissioner Priola.
No additional comments this evening.
All right, then I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At the time.
Thank you for watching the Alamance County Commissioners Meeting. Commissioner meetings typically occur on the first and third Monday of each month in the Commissioners Meeting Room in the County Office Building at 124 West Elm Street in Graham. The first Monday meeting begins at 9:30 a.m. and the third Monday meeting begins at 6:30 p.m. Changes to the meeting schedule will be posted on the county website at alamancecountync.gov. This meeting will be broadcast on LocalGov TV. Please go to www.localgovtvnc.com for more information about their schedule and to see more videos produced by your local governments. You can also access this meeting through our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/Alamance County NC or by clicking the YouTube link on the county website. Technical questions regarding this broadcast or production may be sent to our county webmaster via email at webmaster@alamancecountync.gov. This address is for technical questions only. Comments and questions about the content of this meeting may be made to the commissioners themselves. You can find their contact information at the Alamance County website at commissioners.alamancecountync.gov. There, you can learn more about the commissioners' duties, read minutes and agendas of commissioner meetings, and find other information about the county commissioners. You can also send mail correspondence to County Commissioners, 124 West Elm Street, Graham, North Carolina, 27253. Again, thank you for watching the Alamance County Commissioners Meeting. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our latest video content. If you're watching on LocalGov TV, be sure to visit their website to see all of the content made for you by your local governments.